don't know me, but you tried to kill me.
Words for a killer. Powerful emotion in court today as survivors and families of Parkland victims confront shooter Nicholas Cruz, whose sentence of life in prison instead of the death penalty has sparked outrage.
The only comfort I have is that your life in prison will be filled with horror and fear. So my hope for you is that you die sooner rather than later.
The man accused of plotting to kidnap and torture House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and attacking her husband, Paul Pelosi, arraigned on a long list of state charges, including attempted murder, assault with a deadly weapon, and burglary. The new information revealed in court today. And my conversation with a Republican representative and Democratic congressman, the two come together to condemn the violence.
It's rare, but he and I have done it before, and he's been a great leader, and I appreciate his leadership and willingness to work with me, regardless of the threats to his life, for doing so.
We can put aside differences to come together to treat each other with respect, to say, here's what the common ground of what we can do for the country.
A popular rapper shot and killed in Houston, just 28 years old. What we now know about the death of Migos member Takeoff and the surge in violence in the world of hip-hop. The second woman to accuse Georgia Republican Senate candidate Herschel Walker of pressuring her to have an abortion shows her face. She sits down with Juju Chang in an ABC News exclusive interview. Walker's response to her claims today. His loss sent shockwaves around the world, and 2 years after his death, we still remember the impact of Chadwick Boseman. Tonight, his widow opens up about the man who became a king to millions and the love they shared off-screen.
I can't believe that I was so lucky. I can't believe that I got to love this person, and I also got them to love me too.
The art of the reboot. Actor Paul Reiser talks about figuring out what's funny in the new comedy Reboot, a show focusing on restarting a classic sitcom.
Yeah, funny is funny. You know, but one of the great perks of this show is that we get to have the conversation about what you can and cannot say.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsay Davis. Thank you so much for streaming with us. We begin tonight with the first court appearance for the suspect in that politically motivated attack against the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul, and a rare public plea by Capitol Police to beef up physical security for members of Congress in this increasingly divisive environment. This was a scene today outside of San Francisco's Hall of Justice as 42-year-old David DePape was brought in from the county jail. No cameras were allowed in court, but DePape wore an orange jumpsuit and had his arm in a sling. Through his lawyer, he entered a plea of not guilty to state charges, including attempted murder. A source tells ABC News the Pelosi family could hear Paul's 911 call and see the police body camera video of the attack as soon as tomorrow. Speaker Pelosi says her husband is making steady progress but faces a long recovery. And tonight, the head of the Capitol Police has issued a rare statement saying today's political climate calls for more resources and additional physical security for members of Congress. Threats against lawmakers have more than doubled since 2017. In a moment, we'll be joined by a lawmaker from each side of the aisle. They both say they have faced their own threats. But first, Armola Lange leads us off tonight from San Francisco.
Tonight, a judge ordering the man accused of viciously attacking House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband with a hammer held without bail. 42-year-old David DePape making his first court appearance in an orange jumpsuit, his arm in a sling due to a dislocated shoulder. DePape arraigned on multiple felony charges, including attempted murder and assault with a deadly weapon. A public defender entering a plea of not guilty on DePape's behalf. The district attorney speaking out.
I consider him to be dangerous. Not only is this someone who engaged in a pre-planned attack on the speaker in her home, but someone who was willing to enact violence that was politically motivated.
DePape's attorney promising a vigorous defense.
We're going to be doing a comprehensive investigation of what happened. We're going to be looking into Mr. DePape, his mental state.
Authorities now investigating social media posts the suspect allegedly made, including unfounded conspiracy theories about COVID and the false claim that President Biden lost the 2020 election. And tonight, a source telling ABC News the Pelosi family will hear Paul's 911 call and see the police body camera video that showed the attack when officers were at the front door of the Pelosi home as soon as tomorrow. According to the federal affidavit, DePape allegedly telling police that he had planned to hold Nancy hostage, saying if she lied, he was going to break her kneecaps. Speaker Pelosi seen here leaving her home today, releasing a statement overnight, thanking well-wishers and her husband's medical team, saying Paul is making steady progress on what will be a long recovery process. Political leaders on both sides of the aisle have urged politicians to tone down the rhetoric, given the rising danger, that politicians need to set the example. Instead, in Arizona's hotly contested race for governor, Republican candidate Kari Lake, when asked about protecting students from school shootings at a campaign event, joking about the incident.
It is not impossible to protect our kids at school. They act like it is. Nancy Pelosi, well, she's got protection when she's in D.C. Apparently her house doesn't have a lot of protection.
Tonight, Kari Lake's opponent, Katie Hobbs, the current Secretary of State, condemning those remarks, telling ABC News it's completely unsurprising that Kari Lake, who has spent her entire campaign trafficking in election falsehoods, sowing chaos, and inciting violence against our elected leaders and voters, is treating political violence as a joke.
No laughing matter here. Mola Lange joins us now from San Francisco, where officials just wrapped up a news conference. And Mola, there's now new information on the suspect. What do you know?
Yeah, that's right, Lindsay. A new court filing states that he was on a suicide mission, planning to target not only Speaker Pelosi, but other California as well as federal officials. Now, he is currently being held without bail. The district attorney here today saying that she believes he is still a danger and a threat. He is due back in court on Friday for a bail hearing, and he is not allowed to have any contact with the Pelosis. Lindsay?
Mola Lange, our thanks to you. We're joined now by Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace from South Carolina and Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna from California for a bipartisan conversation about the volatile political climate that we're in and the growing threats of violence against lawmakers. We thank you both for being here. While initially a reaction to Friday's assault on Speaker Pelosi's husband had both Democrats and Republicans expressing their sympathy for Paul Pelosi and condemning the attack, the tone seemed to shift to one of both parties and pointing the finger at each other for creating a divided political environment. Congresswoman Mace, we'll ask you first, do you think that there's some truth at all to the claims that Republican messaging actually fanned the flames, allowing for this kind of political attack to occur?
Well, I think anyone who makes that claim really isn't supportive of putting forth a solution. I myself, as a Republican, have been a victim of political violence over the last couple of years, 2 years specifically. I've had my car keyed. I've had my house spray painted. And just a few weeks ago, I had my house trespassed on for the second time in a year. I see this kind of rhetoric and divisiveness happening on both sides of the aisle. I do want to make very clear what happened to Paul Pelosi is horrifying. And it is the worst nightmare of any member of Congress to have themselves or a member of their family attacked in such a horrific way. And we should be condemning it in every way, shape, and form possible.
Congressman Khanna, is the level of outrage different when a Republican is the target of political violence versus a Democrat?
Well, first of all, the attack on Paul Pelosi for me is not just political, it's personal. In the Bay Area, we're a tight-knit family. I was just sickened to my stomach by seeing what happened, and it needs to be condemned completely, categorically. I appreciate Representative Mace condemning it. I, of course, condemn the violence against her in any way. That is totally uncalled for. And I spoke out against the violence and targeting of Justice Kavanaugh and of Representative Scalise. I mean, we need to lower the temperature in this country and speak out against any threats and political violence. That's not the American way. It's unpatriotic.
How concerned are you that this political climate is just going to continue to get more divisive, more violent?
I am very concerned, and I know that Congressman Khanna and I, we've shared stories about when we talk about the way that we've worked together, because he and I have worked together on several pieces of legislation and consider him a friend in Congress. But when we tell people, when we tweet about it, we'll each get threats. I see it from all sides. And rhetoric is very concerning because we do have to lower the temperature, and words have meaning. Words sometimes mean someone might come after you and take action, because you can't walk outside these days or even go to the grocery store, go to church or any type of public event without being worried about your safety. And I personally, I do carry a gun everywhere I go, and I have uniformed officers when I've got public events. And I am looking over my shoulder because of the threats on me and my family. And it's devastating to see that's where we are today, but we have to have people like Congressman Khanna and I that are willing to talk about it and talk about how we can work together and bring peace to just a very divisive situation in our country right now.
Well, I love, first of all, that we're just having this conversation, and it's nice to see the split screen with both of you talking about this issue. What can you do to work together?
I think it would be really helpful if Republicans and Democrats go to each other's districts, meet people there, so they get a sense that we are all patriots, even if we may disagree on particular issues. Of course, we need to condemn the conspiracy theories that are out there. But most important is to start to see the humanity in each other, to start to understand that we're parents and we're sons and daughters, and we all want, by and large, what's best for America. I mean, we really have worked together. And this is not kumbaya. I mean, look, you look at the Representative Mace and my voting record, it's probably 90% different. We probably disagree on many issues, but the point is we can put aside differences to come together to treat each other with respect.
Curious to hear both of your thoughts on where the political climate goes from here.
As Rose said, 90% of the things we disagree on, but there's 10% in there, maybe even 15, where we can work together and understanding and communicating with people in our community and with each other that our goals at the end of the day are often very similar, but how we get there might be different. And if we don't play in the same sandbox, if we don't negotiate, if we don't build consensus with one another, we will not be successful at overcoming the divisions we have today.
You mentioned earlier, both of you all have families. Congresswoman Mace, we'll start with you. How concerned are you about your children?
I'm very concerned. And I've had threats. Most recently in August, I had a threat by someone that wanted to kill me and every member of my family. And it was very scary and harrowing for my kids. I have 2 teenage kids, and protecting them is my #1 priority as well. And so it's been very difficult for our family, but they understand too that what we are doing, both Ro and I, is greater than ourselves. And I do credit, some of the issues that we're seeing are the fault of social media. I just wish people would just get off social media and not believe everything that they read or what someone else might post out there.
And Congressman, just today, the United States Capitol Police Chief called for heightened security for members of Congress due to our country's current political climate. We've not learned the details of what those security measures will include, but what kind of protection do you feel that lawmakers need in order to try to stay safe themselves as well as keeping their families safe?
Well, I was shocked that the Speaker's house didn't have 24/7 security. So we can start just with leadership at the very least, needs to have round-the-clock security at residences, the same that we have for Supreme Court justices. Now, it's probably impractical to have that kind of security for 535 members of Congress and the Senate. Though, there should be assessments of residences to make sure that they're safe. And for members who have had specific threats, I mean, like Representative Mace has had, they should have security on a case-by-case basis.
Congressman Ro Khanna and Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace, we thank you both so much for your time and for your example for this country, that we can listen to each other and have differing opinions and ideas. So we appreciate you inspiring us all.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Now to an ABC News exclusive. The second woman to accuse Georgia Republican Senate candidate Herschel Walker of pressuring her to have an abortion speaks on camera for the very first time. Walker denounced her claim and tonight still insists he doesn't know her and says her story is a lie. ABC's Juju Chang has the exclusive.
Tonight, the second woman to accuse Republican Senate candidate Herschel Walker of paying for an abortion, appearing on camera for the first time in an interview with ABC News.
I've kept this to myself for 30 years. I protected him.
At her request, we agreed to call her Jane Doe. She claims she had a 6-year affair with Walker that began in the late 80s when he was married to his first wife. In 1993, she says she got pregnant.
He was very clear that he did not want me to have the child. And he said that because of his wife's family and powerful people around him, that I would not be safe and that the child would not be safe.
That's very menacing.
It is very menacing. It is very menacing. And I felt threatened, and I thought I had no choice.
She tells us she went to the abortion clinic but couldn't go through with it, claiming that when she later told Walker, he became upset.
He came to my house and picked me up and drove me to the clinic. And I went in alone, and he waited in the car while I went in and had the procedure.
Jane Doe says Walker gave her cash to pay for the abortion. She has no records or receipts of the payment or the procedure. Walker today denounced her claims as a lie from some woman I do not know.
Now they just going crazy right now, are they not? I'm like, wow, man, I'm doing things I never knew I even done before, but it's okay, because we only got a couple of days left.
Though Walker says he does not know her, Jane Doe showed us cards and letters she said she received from him. She showed us hotel receipts from that era, and this photo she took of Walker asleep. She shared a voicemail she says he left her when he went to the Olympic Games in 1992.
I want to say I love you, and I was thinking about you.
Jane Doe's lawyer, Gloria Allred, put us in touch with two women who told us that in the 1990s, Jane Doe confided in them about her relationship with Walker and her pregnancy. One of those women told us she took this picture of Jane Doe and Walker at a conference in 2019.
He embraced her, and that embrace, it was very emotional. It lasted longer than a normal embrace.
Jane Doe is a registered independent who told us she voted for Donald Trump in 2016 and 2020. She says she decided to come forward now after watching Walker deny another woman's claim that he paid for her abortion too. As a candidate, Walker is a staunch opponent of abortion rights.
That is the height of hypocrisy, the height of hypocrisy.
Why is it hypocritical?
He's saying one thing and doing another.
She says he's a hypocrite. Juju Chang joins us now. Juju, has Herschel Walker's opponent, Senator Raphael Warnock, commented on this accuser?
Absolutely happened today. In fact, as you know, Lindsay, the race could not be tighter, having spoken to Herschel Walker yourself. But today, his opponent, the Reverend Raphael Warnock, said that not only is Herschel Walker not ready for the job, he's not fit for the job. He says because he repeatedly lies about the basic facts of his life. He says character matters. Lindsay?
All right, Juju Chang for us. Thanks so much, Juju. Disturbing new video has surfaced tonight of that deadly Halloween crowd surge in South Korea. 2 American college students were among the 156 people killed. ABC's Matt Gutman has the very latest from Seoul.
Tonight, police in Seoul revealing that emergency calls for help from that Halloween celebration bottleneck started nearly 4 hours before the crowd crush turned deadly, and police admitting they failed to send reinforcements. Releasing these emergency call transcripts. At 6:34 p.m., that first caller saying that alley is really dangerous right now. I barely made it out, but it's too crowded. I think you should control it. Later callers pleading. We're all trapped. This is about to become a major disaster. By around 10:15, the crush turning deadly, and minutes later, this disturbing live stream showing the crowd so tightly packed, even police are unable to dislodge them. As the death toll rises and dozens remain hospitalized, tonight, those haunting images of the things they left behind.
Workers here have tagged every single one of these items. You can still hear the phone alarm ringing on this one. There are credit cards, passports, 258 items of clothing, 250 pairs of shoes, an entire gymnasium filled.
And 1 American passport. American student Ann Gieske was among the victims.
Humble, well-liked by the other students, a natural leader. She was a one-of-a-kind kind of kid.
Each life lost unique in their own way. Matt Gutman joins us now from Seoul tonight. Matt, how are officials there handling this massive investigation?
Lindsay, they're doing what they didn't do the night of that crowd crush here over the weekend. They're throwing every possible resource at it, launching a massive investigation, assigning
475 plus investigators to it. They've combed the streets here, collating a tremendous amount of surveillance video. They've interviewed dozens of people, obviously talking to witnesses and victims as well. But to put that number into perspective, 475 is more than 3 times the number of officers who were on hand that night of the crowd crush, who were here supposedly to monitor the movements of about 100,000 revelers. Lindsay.
Wow. All right, Matt Gutman, our thanks to you as always. Families of the Parkland shooting victims got to face the shooter one more time in court today. The devastated and enraged loved ones got the chance to finally release some of their pent-up anger against the man who was spared the death penalty. ABC's Victor Akendo has the details.
Tonight, with grief and fury pouring out, the families and victims of the Parkland massacre addressing the man who took the lives of 17 students and staff, holding nothing back.
Parkland murder, I hope your maker sends you directly to hell to burn for the rest of your eternity.
Nicholas Cruz was convicted of 17 counts of murder and attempted murder, a jury ruling he will not face the death penalty. Throughout his sentencing, Cruz staring blankly for hours as spouses, children, grandparents, and victims told him how he's ruined their lives.
You don't know me, but you tried to kill me.
Stacy Lapel was a language arts teacher at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. She pulled students to safety, sheltering them in her classroom. Raw emotion inside the courtroom. The sister of 14-year-old Elena Petty, Megan, trembling as she recalled the deadly scene.
He shot 139 rounds of ammunition in that building. He had 138 opportunities after his first bullet to stop. He chose to keep firing. He shot Elena through the heart.
Many frustrated that Cruz will not receive the death penalty, like Deborah Hickson, the wife of athletic director Chris Hickson, who tried to stop the shooter.
You stole him from us, and you did not receive the justice that you deserved.
And so many of the families disappointed that he did not get the death penalty. Victor Akendo joins us now. Victor, what's next for the shooter and the families?
So Nicholas Cruz has apologized for this in the past. He'll be back inside the courthouse again tomorrow, where he will hear from more of the victims' families, and we're expecting him to be formally sentenced to life in prison without parole. Lindsay?
All right, Victor Akendo for us. Thanks so much, Victor. When we come back, a raging fire at a home with a family inside. Why a driver's wrong turn may have saved their life. To so many, he wasn't just an actor, he was a king. As fans anticipate the next Black Panther film, Chadwick Boseman's wife speaks with our Whoopi Goldberg and reflects on his career, his final days, and the efforts to keep his legacy alive. But up next, shock in the music world as yet another rapper is gunned down, this time Takeoff from the popular group Migos. He was just 28 years old. We have the very latest coming up. This is ABC News Live.
The crush of families here in Poland.
At refugee centers
in Putin's Russia.
On the ground in Ukraine.
Close to the front line.
Here at the White House. Destructive Cat 4 storm.
Here along I-5.
Boston is in the bullseye. Let's go. We made it.
ABC News Live, America's #1 streaming news. Anytime, anywhere. Streaming 24/7 straight to you for free.
Thank you for making ABC News Live America's #1 streaming news.
Bring them on. If only there was a place in the morning to start my day. With a smile, somewhere to help me get in the know. A place as spectacular as, well, me.
I think we might know a place, right, guys?
Bring your friends. Oh, wait, there is.
Good morning, America.
GMA, 7A, every day. Boom. Boom. Boom.
Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Robin. Good morning, America. How are you?
Boom. Now that's how you start your day, people.
All right, here we go. You ready? Let's do it.
Yes, it's the show America wants and America needs right now.
This is What Would You Do? Let's go. How are you?
How cute.
Yes.
So what will you be watching Saturdays on ABC News Live?
What would you do?
Hey, I guess I just found out.
The What Would You Do Marathon, 12 to 6 Eastern, every Saturday on ABC News Live.
My favorite show.
Elizabeth Holmes found guilty on 4 counts of fraud, facing the possibility of decades in prison. Now, we take you inside the courtroom and behind the scenes. The Dropout, Elizabeth Holmes on Trial. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
So, what's good to read? And we mean really good to read right now. Well, that's where Charlie and Kate Gibson can help.
Join us for the new podcast series. It is called The Bookcase with Kate and Charlie.
We will make sure you love what you read.
Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
With so much happening these days, it's hard to keep up.
Things change hour by hour, minute by minute.
The historic weather that's now unfolding.
The worries on Wall Street.
We're bringing you the Right Now. With a nationwide teacher shortage.
The Right Now look at the day ahead. An alert this morning for dog owners and the key takeaways from the biggest stories.
World News Now and America This Morning, America's #1 early morning news.
Today does feel a little different. Early mornings on ABC News Live.
With so much at stake, so much on the line, more Americans turn here than any other newscast. ABC News World News Tonight with David Muir, America's #1 most watched newscast across all of television.
As of today, in a big way, we have inaugurated abcnews.com.
A lot has changed in our world since Peter made that announcement. But what hasn't changed is the commitment to groundbreaking reporting and innovation at abcnews.com. And here's to everything ahead.
2 Newark, New Jersey police officers are now in stable condition after they were shot while executing a search warrant. The FBI, ATF, and U.S. Marshals swarmed to the scene shortly after the incident that led to the entire neighborhood being placed on lockdown. Police believe the shooter may have fired at the officers from above, possibly a window. The shooter is not in custody, and the incident remains under investigation. He formed part of the hip-hop trio Migos, but Takeoff, who was shot and killed in Houston, is being called by some the, quote, heart and soul of the group. The Grammy-nominated artist was just 28 years old.
If you know me, know this ain't my first way. Certified everywhere, ain't got a print or resume. Take out LA. Talk crazy, I pull up underlay. RP to Nate, dog. I had to regulate.
Our Maria Villarreal is in Houston, has been following this story for us today. Maria, the police department held a press conference. What did they say about how this all played out overnight?
Well, so last night, Takeoff was playing a private event with Quavo, 2 of the original members of Migos. They were at the private event afterwards at about 2:30 in the morning. Some sort of disagreement happened after the event was played, and Takeoff was outside. He didn't sound like, from police, that he was actually involved in the disagreement. Somehow he was actually hit by gunfire, though. Police at this point are saying they are looking for 2 guns and 2 individuals who fired shots in that area. They're also looking for witnesses. They say at least 40 people were outside when this happened, and right now they are having a very hard time getting those people to come forward.
And Maria, do police have any idea as to the motive or who the suspects might be?
You know, as of right now, Lindsay, they are very frustrated because, again, they haven't had any witnesses come forward. It sounds like a lot of the people that were there at the, after party outside may have started to text local media, put things on social media as well. And so as of right now, though, a lot of those people have not come forward. So police are really pleading with witnesses and this community to try and help out. No motivation right now, no motive, and right now no suspects as far as they can release information.
And the mayor was also at the press conference. What did he have to say about this tragedy and the larger angle of violence in communities?
You know, you could tell by the comments he was making and also the chief of police here in Houston that there is a very big concern that if they don't find the person or persons who did this, who were responsible quickly, that there may be some sort of vengeance that is, called by the fans of the group, by the fans of Takeoff. So they're trying to prevent that by asking people to come forward, pleading with them to come forward at this point. Mayor Sylvester Turner was very passionate when he said that they were going to find the person who did this, but more importantly, that this kind of violence needs to stop.
Maria Villarreal, our thanks to you. Joining us now for more context and analysis is ABC News contributor and Sirius Radio XM host, Mr. Mike Muse. Mike, thank you so much for being here. Unfortunately, it's under these circumstances. Give us a sense of Migos and the three together and what they all meant for the culture, because a lot of people are like, what? Yeah, I've never even heard of this group before.
Yeah. They may not have heard the group by name, but they've definitely heard their music.
Right.
They,
Bad and Bougie,
Bad and Bougie,
yeah.
Versace, yeah. They're responsible for the dab that we all have seen, although debatable, but they're the ones who brought it to the masses, because it was in the Southern rap culture, the dab was, but they're the ones who brought it to the masses. And so we've either heard their music, we've seen Vines, remember Vines back in the day, we've seen Vines with their song Hannah Montana. They had a really great way of creating really great cultural moments, but Lindsay also too had an incredible way of like shepherding a new style of hip hop, kind of ushering in this new generation of hip hop around 2013, 14, 15. They really had this interesting cadence, was called like triplet rhythm. And what that is a very syncopated way of rapping in a very quick way, but then they added sound effects and really rounded out their like sound system. They almost engineered their own sound world. They had such good vibes to them. When you listen to a Migos song, it was just about fun, living life to the fullest, and just creating good vibes.
Give me a sense, when you heard this news about Takeoff, your immediate reaction.
This one hurt. Not that you want to see anyone pass away, but Takeoff was such a good guy. He was such a good human being. He was so decent. He had a quiet calm about him, and his voice was so textured and velvety. And the things that he spoke about were really centered and grounded, and really things that resonated with him. And he was an outside-the-box thinker. You know, Takeoff is because he had a really interesting fascination with space, with NASA, you know, with rockets. So he had a really vivid imagination. So this hurts.
You joined us on the show less than a year ago after the death of young Dolph, and I just want to give us a sense of what's happened just in recent years. I want to pull up a list of the rappers our race and culture team here at ABC News has compiled since 2018. At least 9 others have been killed, 10 now, including Takeoff's death today. How have we gotten to this point, and what does this mean now? Because, you know, there was a time, you know, around the Tupac and Biggie deaths where people were thinking, but then it seemed like, you know, things kind of calmed down for a while. Now it feels like it's ratcheting up again.
It is, but you know what, Lindsay, I've always said hip-hop is a storyteller of our culture. It's a storyteller of community, and as a result of this that we're seeing that our community is hurt. Our community is dealing with so many economic disadvantages. Our community is dealing with unemployment. Our community is dealing with, there's not a lot of things to do for our youth and for our kids, so it's creating so much restless energy. The education system is not what it used to be, and so that's all creating a convolutes of things that we need to address systematically. The gun control really needs to be addressed. There's so many guns in neighborhoods and in the community that needs to be looked at. This is election season, and so I think this is something that local politicians, as well as state and federal, really need to be paying attention to, because there is an alarm at the gate.
And so, in summation, I think you're saying this is not about hip-hop culture as much as it is our Black culture, our societal issues.
Yes.
Okay. What do you see going forward for Migos at this point, missing 1/3 of the group?
My hope and my desire is that Quavo and Offset will be able to come together, and also to do it for the memory of Takeoff, but also to carry on Migos' legacy of innovation, of creativity, being tied to the culture, and then advancing the culture.
Mike Muse, always great to have you on the show.
Always great to see you, Lindsay. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you. Thank you. Still ahead here on Prime, a blue check mark for anyone? How much Elon Musk's latest Twitter change could cost you? Pay transparency, the major city issuing the mandate. And we're just 1 week away from Election Day. We take a look at who's leading in the race for the midterms by the numbers. But first, our tweet of the day. Halloween's over, put the pumpkins away. Mariah Carey is letting us know 'tis the season to get ready for the holidays.
So much at stake, so much on the line. More Americans turn here than any other newscast. ABC News World News Tonight with David Muir, America's #1 most watched newscast across all of television.
Admit it. These days, what you need to know
seems to change just about every day.
What is it that you really want to know, need to know?
To help you not just get through your day,
but to make the most of it. Feel smarter.
Feel better.
Feel happier.
Well, how about a third hour of Good Morning America?
GMA 3, what you need to know. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
It's all about you.
With so much at stake in our world right now, we wanted to thank you for your trust and for making ABC News America's #1 news.
And thank you for making ABC News Live America's #1 streaming news.
The hottest views in daytime are happening right here.
We talk about things on this show that people don't talk about.
That I can't wait to see. Honest takes from strong women.
We need all hands on deck, and we need it right now. This is the time to speak out.
Unafraid to get real.
We stick by our points of view.
We're all seeing it differently, and that's the beauty of The View.
And that's why the most watched #1 daytime talk show is The View. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
Zoo! 200!
Oh, 200.
200 episodes of Dr. Pol.
Oh.
Music to my ears.
It's been 10 years, and I'm still having fun.
That rocks. He's got the moves that make your animals groove.
Now we do the dance of joy. Yay. He's like the Justin Bieber of the
Headlining the hottest barns.
Shout out.
It's a show you won't want to miss.
I'm not going to be here forever. Maybe.
The Incredible Dr. Pol. New episodes Saturdays at 9 on Nat Geo Wild.
This is ABC News Live Prime.
Thanks so much for streaming with us.
Live reporting, breaking news, exclusives, award-winning, powerful, eye-opening. ABC News Live Prime with Lindsay Davis, streaming weeknights. So, what's good to read? And we mean really good to read right now. Well, that's where Charlie and Kate Gibson can help.
Join us for the new podcast series. It is called The Bookcase with Kate and Charlie.
We will make sure you love what you read.
Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back, everyone. It's exactly 1 week until Election Day, and we are joined now by Galen Druk from ABC News' 538 to break down where the race for the midterm stands by the numbers. 7 days to go. The battle for the Senate is officially in a dead heat. At least it was just a little while ago, 50-50. Now it seems like it's been a shift based on the numbers at 538. Give us a sense of where we are.
The slightest shift. So according to our Senate forecast, Republicans have a 51% chance of taking control of the Senate. In reality, is that all that different from 50-50? No. But it is notable because it is the first time since July that Republicans actually have an advantage in our forecast in the Senate, even if it's just by a hair. And what can we chalk that up to? I think really it's been tightening in polls in Nevada, Georgia, and Pennsylvania. In Nevada, we saw in September, the Democrat there, Catherine Cortez Masto, had a 4-point lead. In Georgia, Raphael Warnock in September had a 3-point lead, the Democrat there. And in Pennsylvania, we saw that John Fetterman had a 10-point lead in September. Now it's just a 1-point lead. So these races are getting super, super, super close. And I should say, the tighter these races get, the more uncertain the outcome is. So our forecast today shows that there's a good chance that the numbers could fall anywhere between Republicans having a 54-seat advantage in the Senate and Democrats having a 53-seat advantage in the Senate. So really, it's anyone's race at this point.
And when we talk about political extremism and polarization, according to a new poll that you all have out with Ipsos, it sounds like that's top of mind and a big concern for many voters, especially when your data also indicates that a number of these election deniers, it seems, are likely to win their races.
Absolutely. We have been tracking which Republican nominees deny the legitimacy of the 2020 election since all the way back to the primaries. And the numbers that we found is that 35% of Republican nominees outright deny the legitimacy of the 2020 election. Another approximately 10% have cast doubts. So that's almost 50% of Republican nominees who don't acknowledge the legitimacy of the 2020 election. And I should say the 2020 election was not particularly close. And there's absolutely no evidence of fraud that would have come anywhere close to overturning the election. But here's the reality. At least 120 of those Republicans that we're tracking having 95% chance or better of winning their election. So we're going to see plenty of people who deny the legitimacy of the 2020 election win their seats in the House. But maybe more importantly, we see that there are gubernatorial and Secretary of State candidates in competitive races in Nevada and Arizona who are also election deniers. And it's at the state level where they have a lot more control over elections. So those are also really important races to watch when we're talking about election denialism.
Of course, we will be watching all of that. Thank you so much, Galen. We still have lots more to get to here on 5 tonight. The coaching shakeup that led to a Hall of Fame former player getting fired. And who wants to be a billionaire? Will anyone win the Powerball? But first, a look at our top trending stories on abcnews.com.
So much happening these days, it's hard to keep up.
Things change hour by hour, minute by minute.
The historic weather that's now unfolding.
The worries on Wall Street.
We're bringing you the Right Now. Been a nationwide teacher shortage.
The Right Now look at the day ahead. An alert this morning for dog owners and the key takeaways from the biggest stories.
World News Now and America This Morning, America's #1 early morning news.
Today does feel a little different. Early mornings on ABC News Live.
Admit it. These days, what you need to know
seems to change just about every day.
What is it that you really want to know, need to know?
To help you not just get through your day,
but to make the most of it. Feel smarter.
Feel better.
Feel happier.
Well, how about a third hour of Good Morning America?
GMA 3, what you need to know. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
It's all about you.
The hottest views in daytime are happening right here.
We talk about things on this show that people don't talk about. That I can't wait to see.
Honest takes from strong women.
We need all hands on deck, and we need it right now. This is the time to speak out.
Unafraid to get real.
We stick by our points of view.
We're all seeing it differently, and that's the beauty of The View.
And that's why the most watched #1 daytime talk show is The View. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
Elizabeth Holmes found guilty on 4 counts of fraud, facing the possibility of decades in prison. Now, we take you inside the courtroom and behind the scenes. The Dropout, Elizabeth Holmes on trial. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Now streaming on ABC News Live 2020. True crime, cinematic, real-life drama, stunning, the unthinkable. Follow the clues, The Hunt. True crime 2020. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
All right, here we go. You ready? Let's do it.
Yes, it's the show America wants and America needs right now.
This is What Would You Do? Let's go. How are you?
Yeah. So what will you be watching Saturdays on ABC News Live?
What would you do?
Hey, I guess I just found out.
The What Would You Do Marathon, 12 to 6 Eastern, every Saturday on ABC News Live.
My favorite show.
In California, 42-year-old David DePape now facing state and federal charges after his alleged brutal hammer attack on House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul.
DePape pleaded not guilty in a San Francisco court Tuesday and denied the allegations against him. He'll remain in jail without bail until his next hearing Friday. The court also signed off on prosecutors' protective order prohibiting DePape from contacting the speaker or her husband or come within 150 yards of their home.
According to a federal affidavit, after reportedly assaulting Paul Pelosi, DePape allegedly told San Francisco police he planned to hold Speaker Pelosi hostage and to break her kneecaps if she lied to him. The violent assault on Paul Pelosi comes as the FBI and Homeland Security warn extremists motivated by conspiracy theories and election fraud lies could target the midterm election, including poll workers. ABC and our partners at 538 find voters are concerned about the risk for political violence and conspiracy theory.
That blue check mark on Twitter might soon come with a price. Elon Musk is now planning to charge subscribers for verified accounts, tweeting that it could cost $8 a month to get or keep that blue check. Musk also suggested that users opting in would receive perks, including priority in replies, mentions, and searches, the ability to post longer audio and video, and fewer ads. Musk did not say when the fees might be implemented. A major shakeup in the basketball world. The Brooklyn Nets announcing they've parted ways with head coach Steve Nash after just 2 seasons. Nash's tenure, his first head coaching job, resulted in 2 playoff appearances, but was marked by behind-the-scenes turmoil with injuries and trades requested by star players Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Meanwhile, ESPN reports the Nets may be close to hiring suspended Boston Celtics coach Ime Udoka as their next head coach. Udoka is serving a 1-year suspension by the Celtics for an improper relationship he had with a subordinate. A driver's wrong turn led to a heroic rescue in Iowa. Ring cameras show Brendan Burt driving past the home on fire after making a wrong turn before reversing back and parking. He can then be seen approaching the house and walking around the side where he banged on windows to alert everyone inside. 4 people ran out of the house as flames grew larger. The parents of the 4 people who escaped were grateful Burt was there while they were out of town.
They're safe, and they're safe because of him. You know what I mean? Lives were saved here.
A salary transparency law takes effect in New York City, requiring most companies in the city to include minimum and maximum salary ranges.
The move is intended to help level the playing field for women and workers of color. Similar laws have passed in Colorado, Connecticut, and Nevada, with measures also taking effect next year in California, Rhode Island, and Washington State. Several companies like Amazon, American Express, and Zillow have embraced salary transparency, but the chambers of commerce in New York City argue the new law could hurt the very groups it's designed to protect.
No Powerball winner last night, almost $1 billion, and no one won.
So overnight, the jackpot grew to $1.2 billion. The all-time U.S. lottery record, which is nearly $1.6 billion, is from a Powerball drawing in 2016.
The next drawing is tomorrow night. If somebody wins, it would be the 2nd largest jackpot for Powerball history.
Welcome back. When the sequel Black Panther hits theaters next week, there will be joy, but also mourning as fans remember the late Chadwick Boseman. His wife, Simone Ledward Boseman, spoke exclusively to our Whoopi Goldberg about his final days, his legacy, and how he still is inspiring so many.
He was an artist. He was an artist, and he was a leader, and he was a king. And, you know, and that I got to be by his side for that he chose me to be by his side for that is just, you know, it's the greatest blessing. I met this person who is this wonderful man, and he then ended up being a global superstar. Yeah. And really, after Black Panther came out, it did kind of happen overnight.
Black Panther would forever change Chadwick Boseman's life. It catapulted him to a different stratosphere of fame. The film earned more than $1 billion worldwide, with Chadwick becoming the first black superhero in the Marvel universe. I mean, one of the best things I remember when Black Panther was coming out, there was a little boy who was standing in front of his television, and it meant he could be Black Panther.
Yeah. And I'm so proud, too, that this story gets to continue. Yeah. That these little 8-year-olds and 6-year-olds and 75-year-olds, you know, will continue to be inspired by this story.
We knew that we had something special that we wanted to give the world, that we could be full human beings in the roles that we were playing.
I know that when people fall in love with that character, they're falling in love with Chad.
But in 2020, after a hard-fought and private 4-year battle with colon cancer, the 43-year-old actor passed away. Now, the news both shocked and devastated fans around the world. And it devastated his family, including the love of his life, his widow, Simone Boseman.
Some days I'm doing worse than I'm really willing to acknowledge, and other days I'm doing better than I feel comfortable admitting.
Right.
You know, the grief really, it moves in, it sits on your shoulder, and it says, I'm not going anywhere. Yeah. So you're just, you know, getting used to carrying the weight of all of it.
Yeah. Simone, you're with me every day. I have to acknowledge you right now, love you.
It has been the most challenging 2 years I've ever had in my life.
When you decided not to share what was happening, were you scared somebody was going to dig and find out that he was much iller than people thought?
It was COVID, when things were really starting to spiral. And that meant that everybody was in their house. And there was no pressure for anybody to go outside. It seemed like, is this a crazy coincidence that we get to actually be inside? We get to be here with family, with, you know, together. And everybody in the world is also experiencing this togetherness in the midst of this awful, scary, unpredictable time. We kept that circle real. Our circle was basically a dot.
That support was a needed crutch. What does it mean to you when you hear people saying Wakanda forever?
You know, yes, the representation, but really it's the humanity. It's the complexity, it's the richness that has become this catalyst for community. And, you know, it really was the most powerful piece of work that Chad, you know, was able to, that he was able to lay the foundation for that is an immense point of pride.
It would be Simone who would accept the Golden Globe on her late husband's behalf for his role in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
I ain't like you, color. I got talent. Oh. Me and this we's tight.
He would say something beautiful, something inspiring, something that would amplify that little voice inside of all of us that tells you you can, that tells you to keep going, that calls you back to what you are meant to be doing at this moment in history.
I think that the hardest thing was wondering if he was going to have enough time to do all the work that he wanted to do, because he was very clear on what he needed to do.
Howard University was his beloved alma mater, where they recently reestablished their College of Fine Arts program, naming it in his honor.
We have 4 scholars. One of them graduated this past year and, you know, was very proud to be the first graduating Bozeman Scholar of the first graduating class of the Chadwick Boseman College of Fine Arts.
One of the scholars is junior acting major Sean Smith.
Chadwick Boseman's legacy has paved the way for me. He showed that you weren't just limited to these basic roles. You could do whatever you want.
And education was a huge, important part of Chadwick's legacy.
Taking this mantle, and we are carrying it to as many voices as we can. I can't believe that I was so lucky. I can't believe that I got to love this person, and I also got them to love me too.
Our thanks to Whoopi Goldberg. From a successful career as a stand-up comedian to starring in a hit sitcom, Mad About You, which ran for 8 seasons back in the 90s, I'm sure you remember that one, to roles in the Oscar-winning film Whiplash, TV's Stranger Things, and an Emmy nomination for the Kominsky Method, actor Paul Reiser certainly has a lengthy resume. Reiser's latest project is called Reboot, a Hulu show about rebooting a successful sitcom 20 years later for a new audience. Reiser plays Gordon, the original show's executive producer who steps back into his old role and isn't really keen on modernizing anything. Here he reunites with the cast. Take a look.
Reed, I noticed you got hit by the Great Recession. Hey, that's a gold mine right there. Put in a bunch of bald jokes about Lawrence.
No.
That's
We're not
funny.
going to do that, Gordon. We really like the new script.
No. Nobody likes this. You know what the problem is? See, now the world is just a mess. And people need comfort, right? They don't want kale salad. Let's give them mac and cheese.
That's right, the good old comfort food of mac and cheese. Paul Reiser joins us now. Welcome to the show. You starred in one of the most successful sitcoms of all time, Mad About You. What excited you about Reboot to lure you back into the world of sitcoms?
It was really funny. Sometimes it's just you read a script, you go, this is funny, and the people involved are all like just kind of dream partners. Steve Levitan, who created Modern Family, co-created Modern Family, came up with this idea, and he wrote a beautiful script, and the cast is just pound for pound, just the funniest group of people you could hope to work with.
And Gordon's closest relationship on the show is with Rachel Bloom's Hannah, the young showrunner hired by the network to make the show relevant to a new audience. Let's take a look.
Oh, so pretty good run through, I thought.
Yeah.
We just need a new line for Cody here.
What are you talking about? That got a great laugh.
From you, the guy who wrote it.
Yeah, that's true. That was me. I forgot. You know, they never talk about the perks of dementia.
Describe your character's relationship with Hannah.
The premise is this is a show that my character created 20 years ago, and it was a nice, light, fluffy family sitcom. And now 20 years later, Rachel Bloom's character, who grew up watching that show, wants to revitalize it and make it more relevant and make it hipper and make it more socially conscious and make it look more realistic, not as TV formula. And so that's a big part of the friction, is that my character wants to keep things how it were, and she wants to bring them into the new world, and hence the conflict there.
And then that dynamic between Gordon and Hannah, that brings up the larger point about what's funny for today's audience and what's now taboo or off limits. What are your thoughts now about how to be funny? Has it really changed that much?
Yeah, funny is funny. You know, but one of the great perks of this show is that we get to have the conversation about what you can and cannot say. You know, when you're writing a show now, obviously, I think in the direction of good, people are a lot more sensitive and go, you know what, that's not going to fly anymore. That's not okay to make those disparaging jokes. So in a real writer's room, you'll have these discussions. You'll end up, well, let's swing for the fences, or let's not do it, or let's find an option.
You've also reached new audiences by playing Dr. Owens in Stranger Things, a sci-fi drama. Is it a conscious decision at this point in your career to keep mixing things up? Is there a particular genre that you prefer?
No, you know what? It's really simple. When something comes across that looks great, they're all great scripts written by great writers and great dance partners. No rhyme or reason other than this will be fun to work on.
So what's coming up next for you? What can we expect on the horizon?
Well, when I'm in between all these things, I get to go out and do stand-up. So I'll be out in the next couple of weeks on the East Coast and then down in Florida. And people can check my website. So that to me is the fun part. I was getting to go out and do stand-up, which was my first love. And it's funny to me that having not been out there for so long, people now go, wait a minute, why is the doctor from Stranger Things trying to be funny? I went, no, that's kind of what I did first.
Yeah, we'll look forward to both the stand-up and that project. Paul Reiser, thanks so much for coming on. All 8 episodes of Reboot are now available to stream on Hulu. Before we go tonight, the image of the day. These people are gathered around the tomb of a family member in Mexico. Today is Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. And on this sacred day, people set out offerings, decorate homes and cemeteries, and organize family gatherings as a tribute to the dead. That is our show for this hour. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thank you so much for streaming with us. We're staying on top of a few things. The health emergency declared in one heavily populated county, with the concerns over RSV continuing to rise. It's a phrase connected to multiple controversies, including one involving the rapper formerly known as Kanye West. Now 2 radio hosts own it, what they plan to do with the White Lives Matter trademark.
With so much at stake in our world right now, we wanted to thank you for your trust and for making ABC News America's #1 news.
And thank you for making ABC News Live America's #1 streaming news.
After an extraordinary news-making year, thank you for making ABC's This Week America's #1 news and politics show on Sunday mornings.
You never know what you're going to get on this show. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Yes, Whoopi!
Is this mic on? Can you hear me out there?
Behind the scenes is always a better show.
Absolutely,
absolutely. That's what people don't see during the commercial breaks.
Right, they don't.
What happened?
I had no idea really what I was getting myself into.
That day that we walked out, I treasured that day.
I couldn't sit there.
You're doing good, Joy. You're doing good.
Oh, yeah, baby.
It was crazy.
Behind the Table. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
From the giant sequoias to the waterfalls, it's an amazing place. But in Yosemite, criminals go on vacation too. A park ranger found partial human remains.
It was a human hand.
That opened the possibility of suspects.
Henry Lee Lucas.
Carrie Stainer.
Donald Gibson.
Any of them could have done it.
We're gonna figure this thing out. Wild Crime, Season 2, Murder in Yosemite. Now streaming only on Hulu.
Admit it. These days, what you need to know
seems to change just about every day.
What is it that you really want to know, need to know?
To help you not just get through your day,
but to make the most of it. Feel smarter.
Feel better.
Feel happier.
Well, how about a third hour of Good Morning America?
GMA 3, what you need to know. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
It's all about you.
Hi there, I'm Lindsay Davis. Thank you so much for streaming with us. We're monitoring several developments here at ABC News at this hour. Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts has granted former President Trump's request to delay giving up his tax records to Congress. The House Ways and Means Committee requested the records back in 2019, and Trump's legal team was supposed to give them up on Thursday. Justice Roberts ordered the temporary delay so that the court could review both sides. A Kansas mother who led an ISIS battalion, yes, you heard that right. She was sentenced to 20 years in prison and 25 years of supervised release, according to the AP. Allison Fluke-Erkin pled guilty earlier this year to expressing interest in carrying out terrorist attacks in the U.S. Her family has called her a monster. One friend said she used to be normal until she became radicalized. And former Kansas City Chiefs coach and son of Andy Reid, Britt Reid, was sentenced to 3 years in prison for a DWI that left a young girl seriously injured. Reid, as part of a guilty plea, admitted to crashing into 2 vehicles. A 5-year-old suffered traumatic brain injury because of the incident. Next to the first court appearance for the suspect in that politically motivated attack against the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul, and a rare public plea by Capitol Police to beef up physical security for members of Congress in this increasingly divisive environment. Mola Lange reports in from San Francisco tonight.
Tonight, a judge ordering the man accused of viciously attacking House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband with a hammer held without bail. 42-year-old David DePape making his first court appearance in an orange jumpsuit, his arm in a sling due to a dislocated shoulder. DePape arraigned on multiple felony charges, including attempted murder and assault with a deadly weapon. A public defender entering a plea of not guilty on DePape's behalf. The district attorney speaking out.
I consider him to be dangerous. Not only is this someone who engaged in a pre-planned attack on the speaker in her home, but someone who was willing to enact violence that was politically motivated.
DePape's attorney promising a vigorous defense.
We're going to be doing a comprehensive investigation of what happened. We're going to be looking into Mr. DePape, his mental state.
Authorities now investigating social media posts the suspect allegedly made, including unfounded conspiracy theories about COVID and the false claim that President Biden lost the 2020 election. And tonight, a source telling ABC News the Pelosi family will hear Paul's 911 call and see the police body camera video that showed the attack when officers were at the front door of the Pelosi home as soon as tomorrow. According to the federal affidavit, DePape allegedly telling police that he had planned to hold Nancy hostage, saying if she lied, he was going to break her kneecaps. Speaker Pelosi seen here leaving her home today, releasing a statement overnight, thanking well-wishers and her husband's medical team, saying Paul is making steady progress on what will be a long recovery process. Political leaders on both sides of the aisle have urged politicians to tone down the rhetoric, given the rising danger, that politicians need to set the example. Instead, in Arizona's hotly contested race for governor, Republican candidate Kari Lake, when asked about protecting students from school shootings at a campaign event, joking about the incident.
It is not impossible to protect our kids at school. They act like it is. Nancy Pelosi, well, she's got protection when she's in D.C. Apparently her house doesn't have a lot of protection.
Tonight, Kari Lake's opponent, Katie Hobbs, the current Secretary of State, condemning those remarks, telling ABC News it's completely unsurprising that Kari Lake, who has spent her entire campaign trafficking in election falsehoods, sowing chaos, and inciting violence against our elected leaders and voters, is treating political violence as a joke.
No laughing matter here. Mola Lange joins us now from San Francisco, where officials just wrapped up a news conference. And Mola, there's now new information on the suspect. What do you know?
Yeah, that's right, Lindsay. A new court filing states that he was on a suicide mission, planning to target not only Speaker Pelosi, but other California as well as federal officials. Now, he is currently being held without bail. The district attorney here today saying that she believes he is still a danger and a threat. He is due back in court on Friday for a bail hearing, and he is not allowed to have any contact with the Pelosis. Lindsay?
Lola Lange, our thanks to you. He formed part of the hip-hop trio Migos, but Takeoff, who was shot and killed in Houston, is being called by some the, quote, heart and soul of the group. The Grammy-nominated artist was just 28 years old.
If you know me, know this ain't my first way. Certified everywhere, ain't got a print or resume. Take out LA. Talk crazy, I pull up underlay. RP to Nate, dog. I had to regulate.
Our Maria Villarreal is in Houston, has been following this story for us today. Maria, the police department held a press conference. What did they say about how this all played out overnight?
Well, so last night, Takeoff was playing a private event with Quavo, two of the original members of Migos. They were at the private event afterwards at about 2:30 in the morning. Some sort of disagreement happened after the event was played, and Takeoff was outside. He didn't sound like, from police, that he was actually involved in the disagreement. Somehow he was actually hit by gunfire, though. Police at this point are saying they are looking for 2 guns and 2 individuals who fired shots in that area. They're also looking for witnesses. They say at least 40 people were outside when this happened, and right now they are having a very hard time getting those people to come forward.
And Maria, do police have any idea as to the motive or who the suspects might be?
You know, as of right now, Lindsay, they are very frustrated because, again, they haven't had any witnesses come forward. It sounds like a lot of the people that were there at the, after party outside may have started to text local media, put things on social media as well. And so as of right now, though, a lot of those people have not come forward. So police are really pleading with witnesses and this community to try and help out. No motivation right now, no motive, and right now no suspects as far as they can release information.
And the mayor was also at the press conference. What did he have to say about this tragedy and the larger angle of violence in communities?
You know, you could tell by the comments he was making and also the chief of police here in Houston that there is a very big concern that if they don't find the person or persons who did this, who were responsible quickly, that there may be some sort of vengeance that is, called by the fans of the group, by the fans of Takeoff. So they're trying to prevent that by asking people to come forward, pleading with them to come forward at this point. Mayor Sylvester Turner was very passionate when he said that they were going to find the person who did this, but more importantly, that this kind of violence needs to stop.
Maria Villarreal, our thanks to you. Now to the manhunt in Newark, New Jersey, following the shooting of 2 police officers who were executing a search warrant. The FBI, ATF, and U.S. Marshals are on the scene with the neighborhood on lockdown as police look for a single shooter who they believe fired from above. ABC's Stephanie Ramos has the latest from Newark.
Tonight, the urgent manhunt underway in Newark, New Jersey for the gunman who opened fire on police as they were serving a search warrant.
They reported an active shooter in that area.
Authorities say the suspect, armed with a long rifle, shot 2 officers from an elevated location, possibly a window, later fleeing to the top of a nearby building. Our station WABC reporting 1 officer was hit in the neck, the other in the leg. Both rushed to the hospital and are in stable condition. Police in tactical gear searching the roof of this apartment building for the suspect.
They come in inside. Okay, they're running.
SWAT also racing to the scene, along with the FBI, ATF, and U.S. Marshals, as schools and churches were put on lockdown.
Lindsay, as you can see, this is still a very active police scene. Officers have roped off several streets here in Newark, and they are urging residents in this neighborhood to stay indoors until police have that suspect in custody. Lindsay.
Stephanie, thank you. Officials in Southern California declare a health emergency amid a surge in viral illnesses. Hospitals there are scrambling to care for patients with respiratory viruses, and it comes as concerns grow over a triple threat of viruses infecting children across the country. ABC's Elwin Lopez has the latest.
With growing concern about children hospitalized across the country tonight, Orange County, California, declaring a health emergency after a record spike in respiratory viruses like RSV. And hospitals are bracing for what's to come.
Are you concerned?
We're anticipating larger numbers of patients presenting to our emergency room.
It comes as 3 and 4 pediatric hospital beds across the country are already full. 8 states reporting they're above 90% capacity. But with thousands of children hospitalized, there's hope on the horizon. The potential for a new vaccine given to pregnant mothers that would one day protect babies against RSV.
It provides a high level of protection during the period of life when infants are most vulnerable to RSV disease.
Pfizer says early studies show its vaccine was 82% effective in preventing severe sickness for the first 90 days of a baby's life and 69% effective for the first 6 months.
And Lindsay, Pfizer says early data shows its vaccine is safe with no serious side effects. If approved, the earliest that vaccine could be available is sometime next year. Lindsay?
Alwyn, thank you. Now to an ABC News exclusive. The second woman to accuse Georgia Republican Senate candidate Herschel Walker of pressuring her to have an abortion speaks on camera for the first time. Walker denounced her claim and tonight still insists he doesn't know her and says her story is a lie. ABC's Juju Chang has the story.
I've kept this to myself for 30 years. I protected him, and I wanted this to remain private for obvious reasons.
Last week, a second woman, her face and name withheld, accused Republican Senate candidate and former football star Herschel Walker of pressuring her to get an abortion. Walker denouncing her claims as foolishness and lies.
I've said that's a lie, and I've moved on, and they want me to play these guessing games and all this, but I'm not. I'm not into that. I'm into winning this great seat, fight for the great people of Georgia, because that's what this is about.
Now Jane Doe responds. At her request, we agreed not to use her name, calling her Jane Doe instead. But she says she now wants to show her face.
And so what makes you want to speak about it now?
When I saw the first woman come forward a few weeks ago, he immediately called her a liar and said, I never signed anything with the letter H. And I knew I had many cards from him where he signed the letter H. And so I believed then that she was telling the truth.
Jane Doe showed us some cards and letters she says she received from Herschel Walker, some signed with a flourish, that H. She says she took this photo of Walker asleep. They had met, she says, in the late 80s when he was married to his first wife, and she says had an affair that lasted 6 years.
We saw each other several times a week, usually in the mornings, and we saw each other before games, home games, away games, that kind of thing.
Jane Doe shared hotel receipts from that era and a voicemail she says is from Walker after he went to the Olympic Games in 1992.
He often told me in writing and every time we had a conversation how much he loved me and how much I meant to him and that I was who he wanted to be with.
Jane Doe says despite being on birth control, she got pregnant in 1993. Walker, she says, pressured her to get the abortion.
He was very clear that he did not want me to have the child. And he said that because of his wife's family and powerful people around him, that I would not be safe and that the child would not be safe.
That's very menacing.
It is very menacing. It is very menacing. And I felt threatened, and I thought I had no choice.
She says at first she went to an abortion clinic but couldn't go through with it. But Walker, she says, talked her into going back with him.
He came to my house and picked me up and drove me to the clinic. And I went in alone, and he waited in the car while I went in and had the procedure.
She says Walker gave her cash to pay for the abortion and has no records or receipts of the payment or the procedure. She says after the abortion, everything changed.
Everything shifted. He distanced himself from me almost immediately.
Jane Doe says she left her life in Dallas within days and never moved back. Over the years, she says Walker reached out occasionally.
I told my parents that I had miscarriage because I couldn't tell him the truth. Yeah, and I told a few friends the same thing because I couldn't tell them the truth.
Why in your mind did you feel like you couldn't tell them the truth?
It just was very shameful. And I felt like I had been manipulated.
We spoke to two women identified to us as friends of the accuser by her lawyer, Gloria Allred. They each told us Jane Doe confided in them in the 90s that she got pregnant during a years-long affair with Walker. One woman saying she took this photo of Jane Doe and Walker meeting at a conference in 2019, years after their alleged affair. Her friend describing how she says they greeted each other.
He embraced her, and that embrace, it was very emotional. It lasted longer than a normal embrace. It was like they'd known each other for years and years and years, which I'd known they had.
But Jane Doe says her feelings changed after she saw Walker deny that he'd ever paid for an abortion. That, says her lawyer, is when she decided to come forward.
Herschel Walker looked the American people in the eye after she spoke out last week and said it was a lie. Both women were liars. And she's now looking the American people in the eye, and she's telling her truth.
And what makes you think he's not fit to be a U.S. Senator?
I think honesty matters.
Our thanks to Juju Chang. In response, Herschel Walker's campaign released a statement today saying, quote, "This was a lie a week ago, and it is a lie today." 7 days before an election, the Democrats trot out Gloria Allred and some woman I do not know. Still to come, could a former right-wing leader return to power in Israel after a staggeringly close race? And the trademark for the term White Lives Matter is now in the hands of two radio hosts. They tell us how they came to own it and whether a controversial rapper has contacted them to use it. This is ABC News Live.
The crush of families here in Poland.
At refugee centers
In Putin's Russia.
on the ground in Ukraine.
Close to the front line.
Here at the White House.
Destructive Cat 4 storm.
Here
along I-5. Boston is in the bullseye.
Let's go. We made it.
ABC News Live, America's #1 streaming news. Anytime, anywhere. Streaming 24/7, straight to you for free.
Thank you for making ABC News Live America's #1 streaming news.
Bring them on. If only there was a place in the morning to start my day. With a smile, somewhere to help me get in the know. A place as spectacular as, well, me.
I think we might know a place, right, guys?
Bring your friends. Oh, wait, there is.
Good morning, America.
GMA, 7A, every day. Boom, boom, boom.
Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Robin. Good morning, America. How are you?
Boom. Now that's how you start your day, people.
All right, here we go. You ready? Let's do it.
Yes, it's the show America wants and America needs right now.
This is What Would You Do? Let's go. How are you? Yes.
So what will you be watching Saturdays on ABC News Live?
What would you do?
Hey, I guess I just found out.
The What Would You Do Marathon, 12 to 6 Eastern, every Saturday on ABC News Live.
My favorite show.
As of today, in a big way, we have inaugurated abcnews.com.
A lot has changed in our world since Peter made that announcement. But what hasn't changed is the commitment to groundbreaking reporting and innovation at abcnews.com. And here's to everything ahead.
Now streaming on ABC News Live 2020. True crime, cinematic, real-life drama, stunning, the unthinkable. Follow the clues, The Hunt. True crime 2020. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
Welcome back. We're tracking several headlines around the world. Benjamin Netanyahu and his right-wing religious allies are projected to win a razor-thin majority in all 3 exit polls. But even Netanyahu's own advisors are not celebrating because as the real votes are counted, the numbers could drop as easily as they could rise. The exit polls are always a bit off, which in a close race like this makes a major difference. The 3-year-old son of Afrobeat star Davido passed away after drowning in the swimming pool of the family home, according to the BBC. Police have confirmed 8 members of the staff have been called in for questioning. President Bolsonaro gave a short speech from the Brazilian presidential residence and thanked the 58 million Brazilians who voted for him on Sunday. It's the first address by Bolsonaro since losing the race. He never mentioned the word concede or Lula's name, but he is opening the door for the transition. Ye, the artist formerly known as Kanye West, has lost endorsements, a massive chunk of his net worth, and many of his fans after a string of controversies. One of those controversies was wearing a White Lives Matter T-shirt at his Yeezy fashion show in Paris last month alongside conservative commentator Candace Owens. Now the trademark for that phrase is in the hands of 2 radio hosts from Arizona. We're joined now by Quentin Ward and Ramses Ja, hosts of the show and podcast Civic Cypher, which highlights discussions about race and culture. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for joining us tonight. So give me a sense of how you ended up with the trademark.
I'll take that. So basically a listener of the show, a big supporter, had the foresight to acquire this trademark and felt that we were in a much better position than they were to determine how it could be used for the benefit of Black and brown communities rather than as a tool to create more additional harm on those communities. And so this person reached out to us, and we had to determine what it is that they wanted. And we accepted this responsibility, and the trademark was assigned to Civic Cypher LLC.
And so what does this mean at this point? If anybody wanted to use this phrase for shirts or anything else that would generate a profit, what process would they have to go through in order to do that?
Well, right now, no one can do that legally in the United States of America except for Civic Cypher LLC. So that is not a possibility without our lawyer filing a lawsuit against them. If someone wanted to try to still do that, they would have to negotiate with our lawyer, who will negotiate on our behalf to release that, which isn't necessarily something that we want to do. But we were tasked originally with deciding what the greatest good from this moment could be for Black and brown communities. And we have to weigh, pretty much every factor. But right now, we're being very deliberate. We're being very meticulous.
Has Ye or anybody from his team approached you about using White Lives Matter?
Not as of yet. We haven't been looking for that, though, to be honest with you. We have our messages have been blowing up, and we haven't been really tapped in. So maybe, but that's not a conversation we're wanting to have right now anyway. So we're certainly not looking for that.
Sure. What was your first reaction when you saw the shirt?
It was triggering. It was jarring. It was, again, it wakes up a trauma from the summer that the entire world seemed to mourn the death of George Floyd. And we said out loud, again, Black Lives Matter, as a statement that should not have been controversial, and for some reason it was. So as we were just trying to reaffirm to ourselves and those that were hurting, those who had lost people in these violent, senseless ways, our lives are important. We deserve to exist. We deserve prosperity. We deserve happiness. We deserve these same freedoms. These other phrases were born simply to oppose that idea. So when you see that shirt, that's the type of emotion that I intrinsically felt as soon as I saw it. And, I have to admit I was disappointed because a lot of us have been fans of that guy for a really long time.
You all started Civic Cypher in the wake of the 2020 racial justice movement. What can listeners who tune in expect from your show?
Well, on Civic Cypher, we discuss a range of issues that are relevant to the Black community and to brown communities and marginalized communities throughout this country. And we do so specifically in a hip hop broadcast space where these long form conversations don't exist. And so folks can expect us to talk about, police violence, police brutality incidents. We talk about environmental racism. We talk about voter disenfranchisement. We talk about housing discrimination. We talk about things that affect Black and brown communities in a space where we feel like we'll reach our allies, folks that are really supportive of Black and brown people and the plight.
Well, I thank you guys so much for the conversation tonight. Ramses, Quentin, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having us.
We appreciate it.
And still to come, how a film made by a high schooler is helping to bring her community together and inspiring others to achieve their goals.
The hottest views in daytime are happening right here.
We talk about things on this show that people don't talk about.
That I can't wait to see. Honest takes from strong women. We need all hands on deck, and we need it right now. This is the time to speak out. Unafraid to get real.
We stick by our points of view. We're all seeing it differently, and that's the beauty of The View.
And that's why the most watched #1 daytime talk show is The View. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
With so much at stake, so much on the line, more Americans turn here than any place else. ABC News World News Tonight with David Muir, America's #1 most watched newscast, now streaming on ABC News Live. After an extraordinary news-making year, thank you for making ABC's This Week America's #1 news and politics show on Sunday mornings.
Zoo! 200! Oh, 200.
200 episodes of Dr. Pol. Music to my ears.
It's been 10 years, and I'm still having fun.
That rocks. He's got the moves that make your animals groove.
Now we do the dance of joy. Yay! He's like the Justin Bieber of the
Headlining the hottest barns.
Shout out!
It's a show you won't want to miss.
I'm not going to be here forever. Maybe.
The Incredible Dr. Pol. New episodes Saturdays at 9 on Nat Geo Wild.
Finally tonight, a high schooler in Hawaii accomplished a major life goal. She produced an inspirational film to encourage people to go for their dreams. Reporter Diane Acko from our partner station, KITV, shows us how that documentary also brought the community together in our local lowdown.
It's just any other baseball truck. That's all it is.
First Base is a short film produced by Lanai High School student Lucy Reese.
The premise of the story is how when you have a dream, you can take action. And it's about how this young boy had a passion for baseball.
That young boy was Rich Reese, who became a pro baseball player for the Minnesota Twins and Detroit Tigers, and only because he wasn't afraid to try.
There was a tryout camp that was offered to him. He could have said no, but you know, he said yes.
Lucy knows him as Grandpa. This is her tribute to him.
My grandfather, he is very happy about it.
15-year-old Lucy took a page out of his playbook and decided to aim for her goals.
I've always wanted to see my work on a big screen.
She worked hard, starting up her own business selling crocheted items to make the money to fund her project. Every cent went towards the movie's premiere in September at the Lanai Theater.
I didn't expect the film to premiere at the theater, but with the help of the community, it happened.
Family friend Mary Lou Kalkeano was amazed at what Lucy has done.
It was awesome. Everybody the theater was filled with, everybody, her classmates, younger children, adults. Everybody just loved that. Well, because it was a community effort.
Lucy says she's surprised by the success that's followed.
This has gone to places that you have not expected.
What else I didn't expect is talking with you today. This is truly amazing. And another thing is that the theater is premiering it a second time.
That second showing is October 26th. And there's more.
One of my other films that I created a few months ago got into Hawaii International Film Festival. So I was very happy about that. And, it's just amazing how things evolve. If you work hard and if you meet people, it's so important.
And this is something that I've never seen from one of our youth on the island. And, I just want to help support her in any way that I can.
From the local cast and crew to the local supporters, it's a 100% Lanai community effort. And all because Lucy took a chance.
Take action and do it, because it is amazing what can happen. This film happened, the whole community is part of it. It's amazing, and I'm so grateful.
Everybody buying into Lucy's vision there. Congratulations to her. That's our show for tonight. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. I'm Lindsay Davis. Thank you so much for streaming with us. Have a great night.
Admit it. These days, what you need to know
Seems to